You've built your identity around being caring, agreeable, avoiding conflict. You sacrifice yourself and what you want to make the people around you happy and more comfortable, but your partner is complaining that their needs are not being met. You hear yourself saying things like, "What do you want from me? I work my ass off trying to keep everything going." Inside, you secretly think that no matter what I do, it's not enough and I can't do anything right. The truth is, you're burning out. You're seething with resentment, and you know something about your efforts seems off. This isn't kindness. It's a trauma survival pattern. It's the fawn response. If you're new to my channel, I'm Dr. Scott Symes. I am a psychologist, and I run the program Breaking Reactive Patterns, the blueprint for building a safe and healthy relationship. Please subscribe to this channel. And if you're a person who's listening to this and you're thinking, this is my partner or this is my spouse, share this video with them, because this dynamic that I'm about to get into affects both of you significantly. Most of us in 9th or 10th grade biology class have heard of the fight, flight, freeze response. There's actually a fourth response that is a learned survival instinct called fawning. The difference between people pleasing and fawning is that people pleasing is very surface level behavior. It's just trying to keep everybody happy, trying to meet everybody's needs. Fawning, however, is a survival instinct where it's built in fear, is that if I don't keep people happy, I'm afraid of the consequences. I'm afraid of their upsets, their disappointment. I'm afraid of conflict. I'm afraid of them being mad at me, disappointed in me, and ultimately turning on me or abandoning me. And we have to remember that all of the survival instincts are meant to keep us safe. Fawning is an adaptive strategy that generally gets put into place as a result of the ways that you were raised and how you took on this response based on the ways that your mom and dad were with you. Often those parents were unpredictable, critical, shaming, or maybe just chaotic and unsafe. And you did everything you could to stay off their radar. So the way that I typically talk about fawning is that it's cowering and catering. So I just bow down to your authority in whatever context, and then I try very hard to just keep you happy because I'm afraid of you. Fawning not only involves people pleasing, but it also involves self-abandonment. This is when you want to say no to certain things, but you find yourself saying yes because you're trying to cower and cater. You're trying to avoid the upsets, the conflict, the disappointment, and the hurt feelings. By default, the way that fawning works is that underneath of it, you learn how to manipulate other people's emotions and their behavior. You're using your behavior to manipulate the feelings in other people and that are tolerable to you. And you're trying to distance yourself from the feelings that are intolerable or frightening to you. The root causes of fawning. Let's look at this from a schema therapy lens. Schemas are patterns of behavior based on very dysfunctional beliefs that we carry around in us because they get formed out of the childhood difficulties that we have. And everybody has schemas. So meaning that we're never going to come out of our childhood or our teen years completely unscathed. We all have them. And that's okay. It's learning how to work with your schemas and then learning how to heal them so that they don't continually put you in a position of sabotaging yourself. One of the schemas that is involved in fawning is called self-sacrifice. People who have the self-sacrifice schema understand that their worth is tied into what they're doing for other people and meeting their needs, even at their own expense. This is often associated with the martyr complex, the idea that no matter what you dish out, I can take it for the sake of the relationship or to show you that I love you. The problem, this builds intense resentment because your own needs are not being met. Your opinions don't matter. You're not voicing how you feel about things because you're afraid of what your partner might do, or you're afraid of the disagreement or the conflict. So you sacrifice. Another way of thinking about this is that you kind of become a doormat in the relationship. Another schema that's very much involved in this is called subjugation. Subjugation says that I must comply to avoid punishment, anger, or abandonment. So you shove your opinions down, you shove your feelings down because you're afraid of the reactions of your partner. This belief creates avoidant problems in the relationship because you're showing your partner that you're agreeable, but this creates a massive imbalance in the relationship. It gives the message to your partner that your partner is the one who's in charge because you'll say yes to everything. You'll just go along with everything. It doesn't seem to matter to you what we do, where we go, how we operate our lives, because you are deferring to your partner over and over and over again. The unfortunate side of this is that this also makes you feel like you don't really matter, that your opinions and your feelings don't seem to matter to your partner because you don't make them matter. This sinks your self-worth and it creates a pressure cooker inside of you because you're not being authentic. These schemas are adaptive, meaning that they worked really well in your childhood when you were small and powerless, but they are very destructive in your adult relationships. When I talk about betraying yourself, I often use the phrase, I light myself on fire so you can stay warm, meaning that I'm going to suffer and struggle just to keep you happy or comfortable. Every time you say yes when you really mean no, that's a micro self-abandonment. This creates an inner split, this cognitive dissonance between how I really feel and what's really going on inside of me and my outward compliance. Over time, your authentic needs tend to get buried underneath of guilt, fear, and obligation. And this creates that seething, boiling cauldron where you feel like you're going to explode at times because everything is about everyone around you and nothing really is about you. Chronic self-abandonment in these forms, specifically with these schemas, create and are linked to depression, anxiety, and relationship dissatisfaction. These are the people who suddenly wake up in their 30s and 40s and they realize that nothing really is about them and they have lost themselves. They don't do much for themselves. They feel guilty for spending money on themselves. They feel bad because they want to do a hobby and they feel like it's taking away from the people that they love. And in reality, it makes them feel very lonely and isolated because they give so much to the people around them that they don't really feel like anybody is there to give anything to them. This creates a lot of anger. This creates a lot of resentment inside of the person, and that is going to spill out over into the relationship at some point or another. Specifically, if you're married or you're partnered with somebody who expects that this is the way that you are, and the moment that you try to start advocating for yourself, there's a lot of pushback with that, simply because they're not used to that. This is where things can flip in a relationship, whereas the person who is self-sacrificing tends to feel like they're walking on eggshells around their partner because they're afraid of their partner's reactions. Now the relationship may swing the other direction and flip in that you are tired of the way that you're being treated. You are the one who is getting into your fight energy. You're standing up for yourself. You're being more assertive. You're not tolerating any bullshit anymore. And the person that used to be the one who's in charge of the relationship now feels like they're walking on eggshells. Because our relationships are reciprocal. What you do affects your partner. What your partner does affects you. And this process happens over and over again. And schemas, these dysfunctional beliefs, completely sabotage that process and leave a couple in complete dysfunction. It is absolutely imperative that you know what your schemas are and you know exactly what to do to solve them. And that can happen in my program. Suppressed anger has a tendency of leaking out. It comes out as passive aggressiveness. It comes out as mocking. It comes out as sarcasm. It comes out in all of these different ways that may not even relate to what you say. It could just be coming out of you in your energy, the way that you stand, the way that you sit, the way that you walk, the way that you sigh, or your facial expressions, all may be communicating your disdain or contempt or anger toward your partner. Your partner then picks up on all of this and they start to see that you're not being yourself. They don't really know what to do about that unless you are learning how to communicate very effectively. But if you aren't, you're going to erode the trust in the relationship and the intimacy is going to take a nosedive. It's very crucial that you understand what your fawning response is and that you're calling it what it is. That you know that fawning feels like love, that I'm doing all of these nice things for people, but in actuality, this is fear-based control. You're trying to manage other people's emotions to prevent conflict or your own fears of rejection or disappointment. The ultimate cost of this fawn response, if you're operating from this in the relationship, is this inauthenticity inside of you, this disconnect, cognitive dissonance between who I believe that I am and what I do. The reality then is that your partner never really truly experiences the real you because you haven't been authentic, or maybe you're not doing it on purpose. You just don't know who you are outside of this fawn response. And it's not really your fault. This is something that you were taught. And I say that in quotes because this is something that was happening in your childhood where you learned through interactions with other people that if I get good grades, be very compliant, do everything that I'm told, then my mom and dad do not yell at me, or they're not disappointed in me, or I just fly underneath the radar because I'm not making any waves. Growing into your healthy adult, which is what we do in my program, means that you understand that love requires authenticity. And being authentic means that you have boundaries, you value honesty, you're present, but you're not engaged in appeasement. You're not engaged in that cowering and catering, and I'm going to walk on eggshells just to make you happy. You give the responsibility for another person's emotions back to them. And then you learn how to be able to cope effectively with whatever feelings that they're having. So here's 5 steps as a way to learn how to break this people-pleasing pattern. These are very superficial steps. The reality of this is it's far more complex, and it's usually tied into some degree of trauma. If you want to transform these, then I would suggest to you make a discovery call with me and get into my program. Step 1, awareness. Everything begins with awareness. Catch yourself when your schema is saying yes or driving you to that yes, when really you feel no. That's the disconnect. Step 2, body scan. Notice the tightness in your chest or the tightness in your jaw or even in your throat where you are feeling like you need to say no, but your mouth is wanting to say yes. You may experience a shallow breath. You may experience smiling out of discomfort rather than learning how to be assertive and stand up for yourself. Step 3, schema dialogue. This is identifying the inner child voice that has conflict with the healthy adult. It's almost like you're feeling like you're in 2 separate places. The best way for me to be able to explain this is that if your child was in this situation with a friend of theirs, would you tell them to just do everything your friend tells you to do, just be compliant, just tell them that you'll do it? Or would you tell them to stand up for themselves if they felt uncomfortable with this? See, the healthy adult, it works very, very well when it comes to you giving advice to other people. But when it comes to you operating with yourself, you're up against your old programming. That inner child voice is part of your adaptations and the schema beliefs that tell you that in order for me to stay safe, I have to do everything everybody tells me to do. And if I stand up for myself, that's selfish somehow. Step 4, practice micro boundaries. Start with small no's. That begins to rewire safety around authenticity. And that might be just saying no to your children, wanting a snack, or no, I'm not going to do that right now. Or your kids are wanting to do something, or your spouse wants you to do something. And no, I'm watching my TV program. After that, I'll do this. Tiny little ways that you can learn how to practice saying no rather than automatically jumping into that fawn response because it's so unconscious. Step 5, repair through vulnerability. Learn how to share your real needs and feelings. Learn how to tolerate conflict. Build intimacy through honesty. This is the way out of these schema patterns, is through understanding yourself in a completely new way and then transforming yourself to become more in line with who you're meant to be, your true authentic self. And that transformation can happen when you build the healthy adult and you learn the skills of love and you learn the skills of self-worth outside of your dysfunctional patterns. Again, I really hope that this video was helpful to you, and I certainly hope that you forward this on to your partner, or maybe you two watch this together as a way to help you understand the dynamics of your relationship, that you're tired of being in that doormat position. And again, one of the things that we have to be very, very clear about is that many times that your partner is not to blame here. Your partner is simply operating with you the way that you've always been. That's who they know you to be. If you want to make some changes in your relationship, you simply have to learn how to be able to communicate effectively, not get into your anger and just start blaming, accusing, threatening. That only makes everything worse. Learn how to communicate the way that I just showed you with those 5 steps so that you can be authentic in saying that, hey, I have walked on eggshells my entire life around people. You're not necessarily doing anything wrong, but I'm going to practice saying no, or I'm going to practice saying what I want and how I feel a little bit more so that we can balance some things out so that I don't feel like I'm just in this position to constantly cater to you or walk on eggshells around you. You don't build love by disappearing into other people's needs. You build it by showing up as yourself imperfect, you've got flaws, but authentic and emotionally safe for yourself first. If you're watching this video and you see yourself in this video and you're saying, this is me, I need this program, please schedule a discovery call with me. And let's get into doing the work that breaking reactive patterns can do. This is where we get into the deeper end. This is deep work to dismantle those schemas and then to rewire those fawn responses and build a secure, authentic relationship with yourself and the people that you love. And as always, thank you so much for watching.